and then we can get the ball
Ready.
rolling. That you?
Yep.
Hello and welcome to SLR's Division 3 race, round 3 here at the brand new Hanoi circuit here in Vietnam. And your commentary team for this race is myself as Riggs, sorry, and I'm joined alongside Merx in the booth. Merx, it's a baptism of fire for the drivers here. This is the first ever race here in a competitive, also in the first competitive race. How are we expecting the drivers to fare on what seems to be a very tough and technical circuit?
Well, yeah, we saw from earlier there was sort of wings flying off, and I think we've seen that in all the races so far around here. So I think it's a little bit of a race of attrition, but you know, it's one of those where to finish first you must finish, that sort of race. So yeah, we'll see. I think it may come down to who's the best at that, and obviously, well, who's the quickest at doing that at the same time. And I've just got a weather update, and it's all clear once again.
The sun won't be shining here in Hanoi. It's one of Herman Tilke's finest creations. We've got two brand new circuits on the calendar. This is the first one. The next one will actually be in a fortnight's time in the Netherlands, but we'll talk about that more when we're there. But Vietnam, the layout's quite funky to say the least. It's creative, concerning the equipment and position and the location of this is right in the middle of Hanoi. It's classed as a street circuit. Also, I'm on board with Crafty's Jester, and this is the biggest. This is one of the biggest straights on the Formula 1 calendar, and this will be probably the main overtaking opportunity for the drivers. There is 3 DRS zones in total, but and looking at the other races, I've yet to watch Division 2, so I can't really enlighten the viewers on what happened in that. But being part of the Division 1 race, I felt it was very hard to make an overtake work that wasn't on that big straight getting into turn. I'm trying to count all the turns here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About turn 10, 11, the big hairpin where most of the drivers are coming through there, as you see on the mini map to the right hand side. But I really feel, even though there is 3 DRS zones to try and encourage the overtaking, I think realistically there is only the one real opportunity.
Yeah, I think obviously you got that big, long straight, which rivals the likes of Baku and China for their straights. Well, rivals and then some. But yeah, I think there'll be overtaking opportunities, obviously, everywhere, as Div 3 usually delivers a good race.
Division 3 is truly where the chaos kind of kicks off, really. Looking back at the races in Bahrain and the season opener in Australia, where chaos just seemed to be around every turn that you went round on the circuit. But if the pattern's going to keep up, then we're going to expect more or less the same here in the 28 laps that Hanoi is going to be offering for the drivers and for ourselves as the viewers. As you said, it is going to be clear. There'll be no threat of rain. I don't know if there's any rain in Division 2, but the dry spell continues.
No rain at all this weekend.
Hanoi is experiencing the best weather. The sun is shining here, so drivers are, majority of them are out in sauce for Q1 with the exception in the Ferrari. He is going to try and go through on the mediums. And I've just sat on board with Crafty's Gesture through this entire lap, whilst we've just been sitting discussing the circuit, but we're starting to see some times on the board there with Dodgy with a 1:35.9, but it was Baggy Fan to get the first official time on the board with a 37.9, which is a whole 2 seconds behind the pace. Crafty's Gesture's come up to the line with a 1:37.4, that'll put him second. And is there anybody actually on a lap that you can see next, so we can just jump on board with them?
Don't know. But after last week, The Racing Points continuing their form as they finished 1-2 on the track last week. Vegas quickly scuffed that. Shouldn't I have a look? Steve, I think, maybe, coming towards the end of the lap, having said that. Let's see, I don't know. Levi, I think, is the only guy. The lap is invalidated, so we'll go someone with an outlap. Don't know who the furthest along is. Looks like Gareth, I think.
We'll jump
No,
on board with
it's
Gareth.
not. It's Sprightly.
Oh,
I
Sprightly.
like.
Right, we'll jump on board with Sprightly then in the Alpha Tauri. And we'll see on board the new Hanoi circuit for those that haven't watched the other two races. We'll jump on board with Sprightly if you want to try and run us through a lap.
I will indeed. So, coming down towards turn one, tricky braking zone here. Don't want to run too wide. It's got a big curve next. It does run deep. Uses that curve to his advantage. Tricky traction zone between turns 2 and 3, then quick change of direction for turn 4. Then turn 5 as you come to the second DRS zone on the lap. Bit of time to think about this chicane where you can cut quite a bit. And then see how much he chooses to do, not that much. Conservative, you would say, through there. Left-hander. And then on to this long straight where you can think about a lot of things. But the one thing you have to think about is the braking zone and picking that braking point. Keep your car, take the shortest route as you possibly can. Takes a wide line, so a little bit there, but pick your braking point, don't run deep, hits the apex very nicely indeed. Go down on exit, which he does very well. And then he comes up to the braking zone at end of sector 2. Clips the apex on the right, gets all on the curb and squirms on the exit, but managed to keep it going. Then the fast left and right and straight, and then left and then right and then left again, and then onto another right, onto a 90-degree left-hander. What about gets freaking exit. You're going to run wide, tap the walls. Not a great end to the lap, and goes at 6th fastest.
Sprightly, as you was, I was just kind of watching the lap there alongside you. There is quite a lot of difficult traction zones, and
Gareth.
I mean, like, it's mainly as we see Gareth going fast with a 35.3. To just touch on your point in regards to the tricky traction zones. Like, I feel like through experience with turn 1 on the start, like that turn 1 swooping right-hander of 2 where the pit lane exit is, like there's very little there. As with the roundabout at the end of the second DRS straight, there's very little traction through there. I feel like they're going to be the main tricky points for the drivers to try and kind of, like, also they'll need to kind of have exceptional throttle control through there, as I see Levi's just doing a wee bit of grinding on the curb there on the exit at turn 11. But, like, I mean, it's a brand new track for the drivers. It is just a matter of trying to rubber the track in and make it, and just kind of familiarise yourself with the circuit, the reference points, the setup strategies. This is Q1 really is just like a practice session, effectively. You want to make it through, obviously, but the drivers will experience it in a competitive environment for the first time, and qualifying is very important. I would argue, and that kind of comes back down to the whole idea, the fact that it is a very difficult track to make overtakes on, even though you can see like 3 big DRS straights, but it's not as easy as it looks to make the move. But Murray Walker used to always say, catching up to somebody's one thing, but overtaking is quite the other.
It certainly is. Yeah, you would think that overtaking is easy with a long straight, but you know, that is one of maybe a few great overtaking spots, but that would be the easiest one, you would say. The hairpin. So it's hard to go side by side through there, as we've seen on the last couple of races so far. Trying to see, so Gareth for the best time at the moment of a 35.3. It's hard to say what the cut-off point will be, but we've had I think got a very similar grid to last time. I think the only one missing is Remix. And Craig has dropped down as well, I believe. He was in Div 2 last time out.
And he's sitting in third place at the moment. We're just under 8 minutes remaining in the session. I don't know about you, Max, but I've got a small glitch in terms of displaying the fastest lap. It still says Dodgy's the fastest lap.
Yeah, that came up. That did stay on my screen, and then it did actually go off when Gareth said his fastest lap. So it might just reset itself eventually.
Well, Dodgy's 35.9's apparently still the fastest according to my side, so I don't know if that's just a small timing glitch on my side. Looking at the chat, we've got a wee bit of chat action, and it's for yourself. Got a wee fan group there. Southerners, and Nicky 10, Steve-O, the SLR Brundle.
Well, I say thank you. I don't see. I like to commentate quite a lot, but I never know if I'm any good. But you kind of have to see what other people say. So it's nice to have the compliments, of course, and hopefully I can, alongside our SLR Crofty, we can deliver another good race for you guys to watch along to.
And that's the thing as well. Division 3 really is kind of where it's at in terms of just like tomfoolery. Really, like anything can really happen in a Division 3 race. If you were joining us alongside myself and Mix for the majority of season 4 in Division 3, you'll know that there was quite a lot of hectic races and like a lot of unpredictability, and it's just carried over to this season as well when we're only at our third race and we've had 2 absolutely brilliant yet crazy races.
We have, so last week we had a 1-2 for Racing Point. First week we had Plain Teddy, who's now moved up to 2, but Plain Teddy crashing right near the end of the Grand Prix and Sweaty Confetti winning that race. But he's only a reserve at the moment. But yeah, he did take that win. So obviously, if you didn't watch Div 2 earlier, we were treated to a grandstand finish. I won't spoil the result, but it was one to watch till the end of the race. It was certainly a great one to commentate on. And hopefully we'll have much of the same. I think Jules is just pissed. Yeah, he's just got some traffic of Williams. Not sure which one, having said that, but he has hit the back, run into the back and got damage. I don't know, but I don't think I've got really anything coming up on my screen. I'll have a look who it was, actually.
He's got some damage.
It was Craftiest. Right. Craftiest Jester was in his way. I think he was on a lap, so I think we might see a penalty coming for the Williams driver.
Definitely, you don't really want to impede. You don't really want to impede other drivers on qualifying laps, especially at street circuits, because the main racing line is also the main line through most of the turns. The barriers are right there, left and right of you. As you can see on board with the lap on Hanoi, the circuit is very much, it kind of slightly does remind me of Valencia in a sense, where the ball's always there, keeping you honest. And I mean, if Valencia ever had the option to come back, I would probably say aye, but it's just a car park at this rate. It's in one of the worst bits in Spain. But I'm getting like a lot of Valencia vibes for this Hanoi circuit, and it's the circuit, from what I've understood and from what I've seen in social media and our server and everything else, is that it's a very, it's like, I feel like quite a lot of folk only really a big fan of the circuit. Are you kind of sharing that same opinion, or do you actually have a soft spot for it?
No, I think it's pretty terrible, to be honest. Um, but yeah, we, it's not the greatest track you'll ever see. I wouldn't say it's the worst track ever made, but it's certainly down there. It's just, it doesn't seem there's enough character. I guess you get character from races held at the circuit. Obviously, don't think we'll be getting one this year with the COVID-19 situation, but you know, if they go there and have good races year on year, then you know it could be a great circuit. But currently, it's definitely one of the worst tracks I've driven around, in my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the circuit either when I first played it and when I first got the game, but it kind of did grow on me a smidge. But is it enough to say I like the track? I might need another race at it, to be sure. But like once you really kind of get up and going and you've got everything like hooked up, like you've got your reference points, you've got set up right, your strategy's right, I think you're kind of in for an alright race. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's no like a prime time event on the calendar. Like that's classic circuits like Silverstone, Monza, Spa, Monaco even. But Hanoi just, I don't think we ever hit that height. But anyway, we are just under the 2-minute left in the session, and I've just seen Ned Claw's front wing just getting thrown off the car there into the final turn, sorry, to start his lap. We've got Jord, DNF Plum, SLR Crush and Jules in the danger zone, and we've got 2 on a out lap, 2 on a flying lap, so we'll jump on board with Crush's actually just ran wide at turn 14. I'm going to take a guess.
Yeah, I think you just
don't know the exact numbers.
you just got out the way of Hypers on a lap. Hypers is on a lap, but I think he's kind of wasting a set of tyres. He's coming anyway, so he must have heard me.
I've got Jules, who really does need a time on the board. He is currently sitting 19th and last. He is coming into the big hairpin though, just crossing the speed trap there, and he's outbraked himself into the hairpin. Yep. That could potentially be his qualifying, but if he can get like a good flow through the last sector, then he may get a final lap in, but we'll actually just sit on board with him. He's got 30 seconds left in this session. There is yellows, which will quickly just change to greens. Last sector, I feel like there is just this idea that we need this constant left and right and left, like sequence of turns. Like it's very, like you notice it. Silverstone with Magazine Beckett, you notice Suzuka with the S's, America's the same, Mexico's even got it, and now we've got Hanoi. Like, I think Herman Tilke's just got like a weird fixation on the more windy and technical sectors. But enough of Herman Tilke and talking about him. We're talking about the event, and the checkered flag is out for the first session. And
Ned Claw's out.
Ned Claw is definitely out of the session as he comes back into the pits. Scott is right on the bubble there, and he's in the pits as well, so it just takes Jord, Crush or Jules to improve, and he could potentially be eliminated from the first session. Jules looks to have actually got across the line in time, so I'll just sit on board with him once again as he's just coming round the roundabout here to come back onto the straight. He runs really wide and nearly hits the wall on the outside there, but don't think he sustained any damage. Oh, actually, he's lost his front right end plate, but he's committed to the lap. He's still going for it, Merckx. He's opening DRS here. The DRS activation's quite late on in that straight. When you're thinking about it, I'll get a bit of the straight through DRS. You can brake quite late into there, and as the outbrake he certainly lopes up and get into the braking zone, and that's going to ruin his engine.
Yeah, he's gone. I think he was low on fuel.
And while Jules can be classes out of the session, Jord is the last person that can potentially make a difference here. He can actually he's in the position that he can potentially knock his teammate out in the first session, so we are going to we're definitely going to lose a Ferrari one way or the other. But is it going to be Scott or is it going to be Jord? Jord's lap, I jumped on board and he was like a couple of hundred slow in the second sector. It all really depends on these final turns. As he comes through the final turn, slams the wall on the exit. A 137.6.
He has.
14th, and his teammate Scott is out alongside Nedclaw, Crush, and Jules. So Jordan just enough there to knock his teammate out, and Scott was in the pits the full time. He thought he was safe, and that's the price you've got to pay when you think you're brave and you're safe and it just doesn't work. And that's the thing as well, like the track evolution will really come into play right at the end of the session, so the track's always going to get quicker.
Yeah, it is, and it's classic Ferrari as it seems, as one Ferrari knocks out the other. Going to be difficult starting from the back there, especially with no safety car on this weekend. So yeah, but still, still free race, so anything can happen really. But it's going to be a long. It's going to be a long way to go from all the way back there.
You're definitely going to be in for pretty a rough time when you're the further back you are, the rougher the ride. But just from my understanding generally, because I didn't really look into it too much, but to my understanding, there is a ruling in terms of the safety car being deactivated for this weekend, but then it would come back on for next week in China. Is that right?
As far as I'm aware, yes, it does come back on next weekend.
And
I think there's a bit of a glitch where a safety car comes out and a load of people get disqualified because they're overtaking cars. With how the pit lane is here, as it cuts out like the penultimate corner, and then when you leave the pits, it cuts out turn one. So it's like you're overtaking cars, whatever, and then you get disqualified because you're overtaking cars on the safety car or whatever it may be, which is a bit annoying. So might just be a Vietnam thing.
And that's actually funny that you mentioned that, because if there's one thing that's a bit unusual about the circuit is its pit lane. It's a bit of a strange one. It's on the outside of turn 20, 21. I remember hearing the commentary from Friday night, and Jamham said it was turn 23, so I'm assuming there is at least 23 tons, because he's probably done his research and I've not. But like the pit lane itself is actually quite sketchy, because you're coming through that sequence of turns, right, and that's quite high speed. Like you're at least in fourth gear through there, carrying at least 100 miles an hour, hugging the curb, and then you can have somebody that's right there just peeling off to the pits, and it's not just the standard 60 mile an hour pit lane, it's a 37. It's one of the slower pit lanes, but it's also a really short pit lane as well, and it comes out, the exit is actually on the racing line through turn 2, which is quite dangerous, because it kind of reminds me of France. I think they've actually amended France's pit exit, because when in the last game and in last year's race, the year before, sorry, in 2018 when it first came back, was that the pit lane exit actually came out onto the racing line, and you're carrying so much speed getting into turn 1 in France anyway, which is quite risky in itself. I mean, here's no as risky with a high speed, but it's the main racing line. You let your car drift to the outside of turn 2 to carry so much more speed and keep the traction through there as well. So I seen Midzi just like in the chat, and he's like, we need to put ghosting on for it. And I mean, see, to be fair, like, I'd probably agree with that in a sense, because it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, should see who's on track. A baggy, I guess. But yeah, I think it has its obviously pros and cons. with incidents and that. I'm sure it's something they'll look into after the weekend is done and dusted. But obviously we've got the small matter of Division 3 and Elite left.
And that will be Hanoi done and dusted. I'll have to actually get the Delta Times information up to actually see what's happening. We've got most of the runners on soft tyres. We have 6 drivers on the mediums, so we're going to have 6 trying their luck in pushing themselves into potential Q3 with a medium tyre start. But the strategy
think we have a
itself,
spinner.
I mean, oh, we've got a spinner. It's a McLaren, and it's going to be
Steve-O.
because his teammate Ned Claw was put out in Q1. Steve-O is the leading McLaren in this qualifying session.
He's going to get disqualified if he's not careful.
He's going to have to wait because the Renault Scott Laney's just coming in. And
It's like Austin
Haas as
Powers
well.
almost.
It's like that. It's that gif. It's the bit where he's just stuck in the corridor on the wee trolley hanging it. Oh, that's exactly what it was there.
Eventually he got out.
Oh, I mean, luckily enough, he escapes potential disqualification. We had Steve being disqualified for a similar thing in Japan last season. He ran wide at Dunlop, and he was doing the sensible thing and waiting for the drivers to go by on their flying laps. And then, as soon as he was coming back onto the track, he was disqualified. And so nearly history repeated itself there. But luckily enough, I thought Steve was he was well out the way there. Unless, I mean, you could say he's well out the way because he's like right off the circuit and he's tucked into a wee cove. But at the same time, it just takes somebody to do what he done, and that was to clip too much of that inside curb there, because that curb's it's more of an enemy rather than your friend. Like, I know the curbs have got a bit friendlier in this game, like they actually help you in some of the turns, but that one on the roundabout there, you can see the racing point of Hyper's going round the new Marshall Goal. See that curb to the inside there to your left. That curb, if you put the slightest bit of throttle on it, it really likes to spit you. Like, it really does want to throw you into a spin. It's
Turn 4, I think it is as well.
the roundabout.
The one up just after that. The left-hander. As you can't exit the roundabout bit onto the DRS straight. If you get on that curve, it can. Traction can be a bit heavy.
And I've just jumped on board with DNK Rando, who's on his lap. He is on the mediums. He's one of the few medium runners. We've got a fair split in terms of tyre strategy. We've got 6 on the mediums, 8 on the softs. 9 on the softs? 9 on the softs. We've got 9 on the softs, we've got 6 on the mediums, and we had yellows which have quickly went to green in the third sector. I'm on board with DNK Rando, who has just lifted off on his lap there. He's let the Renault of Apex through, who is improving by 0.2 of a second, so I'll just sit on board with him on his lap as he runs wide on the exit of the hairpin. And we're seeing a fair queue going into the pits to get themselves sorted for the final runs. But no, the circuit itself is, I mean, we can't really sit and list off historic races here. We can't list off like turning points because it's a brand new circuit, it's fresh to the calendar. It's very easy to actually invalidate your lap and pick up corner cut warnings for coming into the pit lane, surprisingly. So if you take the pit lane entry, it's like there's also you get the pit lines, but if you cut the slightest bit, then there's a corner cut, but you're coming into the pits, and that's one particular rule I don't understand. But in terms of corner cutting and track extending, I don't think, surprisingly, it's as easy to corner cut here as it is at some tracks. I think it was easier to cut Australia and Bahrain, 2 circuits that we've been to already, than doing it here. Mainly because you've got walls on either side of the track, and those walls act as the racing, the track limits essentially.
Yeah.
But
I think the chicane as well, you can cut a lot of that as well, which it makes it a bit harder to actually get a warning. But yeah, we'll see. We've got 4 drivers here, we haven't actually set a lap. Gareth on 1 at the moment. Steve on his out lap.
and that's the thing there as well, like the chicane at the end of the second DRS straight is actually fundamentally important in your lap, because if you can get greedy, like the right amount of greedy on the curbs on entry curbs, like you were saying in Q1, like you can cut that a good deal and your lap would still be valid. So it is all about trying to squeeze every bit of time out in your lap to put the best possible time on the board, and I feel like that chicane is going to really be where your lap time can be made, or it can be broken. Gareth's lap at the end there in the third sector looked a bit skittish. That Red Bull just didn't really look like it wanted to get into any of the corners.
It was
It still doesn't look like it.
ooh.
And he's just lit up. Oh, and he's spun it turn 2. But Gareth's, for that third sector, the front end just didn't look like it really wanted to react to the steering wheel input there. It just
No.
looked really skittish. So we might maybe be looking at his front suspension. Oh, you can't look at his front suspension too because back fenders in effect, but he might maybe put a wee bit more wing on just for that extra front end response and grip. But that's the thing as well, Max. I would assume drivers would try and set up their car and try and maximise their top end speed rather than generally traction and grip. As we see a Renault hidden in the cove there, that looks to be Apex, and he's got some damage to that front wing there. He's broken his front right end plate for what we saw in that camera there.
I think Steve-O has just made a mistake himself, actually. In the final sector, hitting the wall.
Steve-O's just coming out the penalty turn into the final turn, and he just likes to kiss the wall on the inside and on the exit, and that puts him 11th fastest, so he'll need to go a bit quicker if he's want to go through to Q3. So looking at the times at the minute, Mercs, I would assume you would at least need a 37 to get through into Q3, because Paul and Apex are the 31 and the 34, and they are just creeping into Q3 as it stands. But with Steve-O, Jester, Sprightly, who are all there, can all improve, with Jonesy and Scott Laney, who are quick on their day, and they can easily just put in a time that goes into Q3. So if you're like Paul, or if you're Apex in the Mercedes and the Renault, do you come out on the softs just to make sure you get through, or do you do what Scott did in Q1 and risk it and just sit and wait it
I think you'd rather get your laps on the board and go for it, but I guess if you, it's a bit like, this track is a little bit like tracks like Monaco, Baku, where you kind of have to feel confident, do laps around the circuit. If you have a lack of practice around here, then you're going to struggle. So yeah, I don't know how much practice he did, but see, Scott Laney though, he's gone fastest.
And Scott Laney's just had to dip into the back pocket there, while Steve-O has to dip into the pits. But that's exactly it. That was it. It was like Scott Laney and Jonesy can. Well, Scott Laney's done his part. He's put himself top of the timing sheet as it stands. So he's had to dip into his back pocket for that extra couple of tenths, and he's well and truly found it as he goes top. Jonesy is still to put in a lap, so that does push Apex into the pits, and that's pushed a response for the Renault team. They've got him back out as Crush leaves the session. Paul's having to come back out on the track. He's on the softs. Levi's on the soft as well. Hypers is out on the mediums. I think Hypers might actually be safe, but can see why he's out on circuit. He doesn't want to count his chickens before they hatch. So definitely out on track as he does get pushed down to 10th. So he is right on the bubble, as Martin Brundle likes to say in the Sky F1 commentary. As he cuts a good bit of that turn there, and Darton to come into the pits, and he's going to be out of the session because he is not going to get back out in time. So Hypers can be counted as a eliminee from Q2. Paul and Apex are on their outlaps, and Sprite's on an outlap as well. Steve-O is cutting it fine. I think he will be fine, but Steve-O is going to come out for another shot at getting through into Q3. So we've got Hypers, who is into the pits. He'll not be coming back out in time, so he'll be 11th at best. Paul, Apex, and Spritely on a lap, on outlaps. Spritely's on an outlap, a flying lap, sorry, as he runs wide coming through turn 2, as we see Steve McLaren just coming out of the exit there. Yellow flags in the third sector for a Renault that has probably made some contact with the wall somewhere along the way. But we'll sit on board with Spritely, as he definitely needs to put in a better time than a 38.9, currently sitting 15th as he takes turn 4 and 5. No greedy on the entry, but no so much on the second Apex there, as he's coming through in the roundabout, getting a bit wide there, just grazing the wall there on the outside. But we'll just get this big long straight here, get plenty of time to think about what you're having for dinner in the morning, or where you're going on holiday next week. There's just so much road here. Like, there's just times where you just kind of, you need your concentration because you can so easily miss the break-in zone, which is there just after the 100 metre board into the Apex. Sprightly takes it in first, takes a good bit of curb on entry as well, which will probably unsettle the car and make it a bit spoonish on exit of the hairpin there, but it doesn't seem to do too much damage to his lap, as he is up by 4/10 of a second into the windy technical third sector. It's a left, don't need to turn right, left, then a right, downshift into 6, now even 5th for extra rotation into there, down into 4th as he's running wide, no really clipping these apexes as much as he'd like, but he is going to keep committed to the lap as we're just over 30 seconds left in the session. The penultimate turn into second here, he's ran out ERS, but he'll not need it too much as he comes around the final turn, lets the car run out wide, don't touch the wall on the exit. It's a 38.3, sorry, 5/10 improvement, 13 fastest at best. Is he going to keep the foot down and keep the pressure on, or is he slowing down? I can't really tell too much, but I think
Deadpool's up on this time.
Oh, and we've got Paul up by a 10th of a second in the beautiful black Mercedes as he comes into the final sector. He's got the racing point of Hypers in tow, but the checkered flag is out. Crafty's gesture will not be put forth. I don't know why I just pointed him out there. He is quite comfortably through in 4th place, but we're looking at Paul in the Mercedes W11. Just got 2 turns left. ERS will probably be running
Good
out.
luck from Gareth.
Gareth gone fastest again with 35.5, half a second faster than everybody else. Paul does manage to improve up into 6th place. Who else is still on a lap? Merckx, we've got Sprightly still on a lap, we've got Steve on a lap, but it'll be Sprightly first into 2.
Sprightly's not fast enough, so Steve-O is.
Up by a 10th in the first sector. We'll sit on board with Steve-O. Steve-O will probably be the last person to cross the line and put an official time, and he's lit that up on the exit, and he's spun and he's crashed into the wall, and the front left end plate's off, and it was just the heavy right foot was just kicking in there, and it was on the curb, and the curb was like, nah, I'm not letting you do that, son, and he's just threw him right into the wall. And Steve-O is going to be 15th for the start of the Vietnamese Grand Prix come race day. And that's a shame, because he was improving, he was up. He could have been rustling in the positions. He was up by a 10th, 2/10 of a second. That probably put him a little bit Sprightly. Anyway, just in front of Sprightly. And I mean,
He did make a mistake on his previous lap, I think, in the final sector, so there was definitely time in the final sector as well, so it's unfortunate.
And that's going to be the thing as well. Is, I mean, the benefit, I think, in a sense, SLR Jord, who is an 11th with 37.2, and Hypers in the Racing Point as well. A Racing Point being eliminated in Q2.
Last week's winner.
Considering the form of the Racing Point team, it's going to be a big blow. It's a damaging blow for them to be out in Q2, which means they're putting extra workload into their race setup, strategy, and everything else. But they're gonna have a free choice of tyre. And talking about free choice of tyre, we can talk about strategy. And
Strategy corner.
the strategy corner. But strategy, it seems to me it can be quite flexible between a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, I think this race all depends on traffic. Obviously, it will depend on if you keep the car out the walls, but yeah, at the end of the day, it all depends on traffic. If you're on a 2-stop and get traffic, then you're kind of struggling. But yeah, if you're in a 2-stop without traffic, then you've got a decent chance. But it depends how many people do the 2-stop compared to the 1-stop. Everybody does 2-stop, then it's just a straight race to the flag. But yeah, we'll see if people have alternate strategies. We will just have to wait and see on that one.
Definitely, and that's what makes it more interesting. But in terms of strategy, the top 10 will be starting on the soft tyres because they all changed their mind at the end of the session. Track Evolution really came in and played its part once again in Q2. And Hypers and Apex gambled with the mediums but didn't quite pay off as they're both eliminated alongside Jord, Sprightly and Stevo in Q2. And then there was only 10. We've got a pole position shootout coming up. We can use this opportunity to let myself and Rich know in the chat who you think is going to be in pole position, and if you're brave enough, predict the top 3 as well. We're going to have a wee look at the chat actually, and we'll see what's happening. Is there anything in the chat that's been catching your eye?
No, I think there'll be a new lobby once qualifying's over because Crush disconnected, and we don't want any glitches. There's been an announcement this week, and that we can't invite people if they disconnect from quali because of the continuous glitches this game decides to show. But I think, as we did in Division 1 and Division 2, that a new lobby will be made after qualifying, just to give everybody a fair chance. Which will probably mean fresh tyres for everyone, if we do go along with that. But yeah, that is the main talking point. Really, as for pole position, it could be anyone's. If I was going to choose, I'm going to go with Gareth, considering he has topped the time sheets. Or been at the top of the time sheets for both the sessions, pretty much. But yeah, that is my vote for pole position.
And I'd probably have to agree. Gareth really has been looking on point in that Red Bull. Just seems to have the car. I mean, we're sitting talking about how skittish the car looked through the third sector, but it looks like he's got a proper grip on how that car behaves, and he has topped the time sheets already in both sessions. Needs to make it a full house. As Scott Laney drifts a bit wide on his outlet, they're lucky to escape without any damage. That looked like a bit of a hefty impact there for the Renault driver. But I'd probably have to say Gareth is probably a safe bet. Definitely at least for top 3 because he has definitely been on form. Looking at the rest of the field in the pole position shootout, I'd probably say Dodgy as well. Dodgy is probably somebody we could consider for a threat into the top 3. Craig's been looking really quick as well. Well, I've got Crafty's Gesture as well, with a bit of dark horse. I think anybody can really fight for that top 3, but if we're talking about pole position, it might actually just come down to between Gareth and Dodgy, in my opinion. But we're going to look at the chat. Apex says Scott Laney for pole, or at least second row for Danny Rick. I am Ben says Craig for pole. Sullins is cheering on the Racing Point lads. Well, you're all cheering on the Racing Point lad because we've already lost SLR Hypers. He'll be starting 12th. Steve says that was pants. Always race Dave, no points on a Saturday. That's the only words of encouragement I can give there. And this is a brand new environment for the drivers as well, so anything can really happen. And it is Division 3, which well and truly lives up to that hype.
Definitely. Looks like.
Sorry, you go.
Yeah, looks like Scott Laney got damage. Dodgy's invalidated. as well. So yeah, so Scott Laney's had to venture back into the pit lane, and Deadpool's out on mediums.
The mediums is a bit brave, and considering the delta between the softs and the mediums is about 8 tenths of a second to a full second. I don't really know what's coming into his mind there, but he has purple in the first sector. That's purely because nobody else has put in a time. But we're going to look and see who's going to be the first person to actually put in an official time.
I think it's Craig who's going to go across the line first for an actual time.
And he runs wide through the third sector there. Turns 18 and 19, 20. Looks pretty tidy through their penultimate turn. Clips the apex beautifully. Does he touch that wee sausage curve there? Final turn. Lets the car run out on the throttle early. Let the steering relax as you go through the final turn and don't hit that wall. Craig does go fast. This is 35.7 on the board. And it's putting him on the best seat in the house. It stands. DNF Plum. 36.8.
Formerly-
Fan is just starting a lap.
Formerly Plum Gorilla, he's changed his name.
Plum Gorilla, yep. Well, SLR DNF Plum. It's a very creative name, being honest. I don't know if there's any particular meaning behind it, but I'm sure there will be a story. There's normally a story behind every name. But it is, in Paul on the mediums does actually jump to 4th place in a 38.0, so I feel like you'll be coming into the softs fairly soon.
Yeah.
It's Craig.
Crafty's just has just smacked into the wall, but he's all fine. It doesn't seem that the damage is showing up on my screen, which is a bit weird, because he definitely just smacked the wall there, and apparently it's got a 4-front wing, so that makes no sense. But we'll see, as Gareth has popped into 2nd place.
Just reading the chat.
Yeah.
Unica smashing Chelsea 4-1. I was literally just checking the scores there too. But and you're just like, did anybody ask? Can't remember asking. Steve says cheers Crofty. I mean, I'm rooting for you. I'm on your side. I'm on your team. I'm the McLaren driver in Division 1, so I'm rooting for my McLaren boys. Very much hoping for some good points, and the advice well and truly was, I've seen in the chat as well, just keep it the was and you can get a podium. And I mean, honestly, I think for Vietnam, like, that really does stand true, because it's a brand new racing environment for everybody, and that will probably be like my catchphrase for this full race. But like, it is brand new to everybody. Like, nobody's, this is the very first time that Division 3 have been here to actually race. And anything normally happens in Division 3, so you never know. You can be starting at the back of the grid and end up taking the top spot. Like, it can literally happen like that. It's happened before. It will probably happen again. Like, will it happen here? Who knows? Like, it's so unpredictable, and that's why I love covering it.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier about anything can happen in Formula 1. It usually does. I think we should perhaps change it to anything can happen in Division 3, and it usually does. Yeah, we don't know. I think yeah, if you start outside the top 10, I think you still got a good chance to get a good result.
Definitely, I think. See, that's the thing as well. Like, I think anybody can really be on for a win here. Like, it really can just be anybody's guess for the win. As we see Baggy Fan Dartmouth, who's actually going to go fastest, 35.5.
Oh.
So Scott Laney just out of nowhere there. Like, I literally just jumped on board with him there as he crossed the line, and he's lit up the track purple with a 35.5, 2 tenths faster than Craig, 3 tenths faster than Gareth, who we've tipped for pole.
Come out of nowhere, that is. Yeah, I think he obviously had that crash as he come out of his outlap for Q3, and well, he's responded. Whether he'll get back in and out, again, there's another question, but Yeah, he's just paved the way at the moment at 35.5. I think that's the fastest time we've seen so far. Will we get any faster? We just have to wait and see. And so we've got a couple of people venturing out on the track now.
I'm honestly, I kind of make a bit of a side conversation, but I'm just looking at Scott Laney's helmet, and I really like that helmet. Like, I really like just the fact that it's like rainbow coloured. It's very reflective. It just shines. It stands out. It's one of the few helmets I've seen that actually stands out on the driver, and I very much like that style. Again, that's just a completely random observation, but I felt like it was enough to warrant a conversation. But we have got 3 minutes left in the session, and it is Scott Laney, whose helmet I really like, sitting in pole position. Craig is sharing the front row as it stands in the Alpha Tauri. Gareth and Rando in the second row. Crafty's Jester and Jonesy sharing row 3. Dodgy and Gorilla Plum Gorilla, no Gorilla Plum. Formerly Gorilla Plum. Plum Gorilla. And
You'll get it right.
7th and 8th. I'll get it right eventually. It'll take me so many tries and I'll get there in the end. And it's going to be Baggy Fan and Paul as it stands in 9th and 10th, respectively.
Just a quick interruption. We have reached 600 followers on the stream. That is good news to see. This league is always continuously growing, and hopefully we'll get to 700 sooner than you think.
Definitely, like the league has been growing at such a rapid speed over the last few race weekends, and with the driver draw and everything as well. And I remember in Australia in the Division 1 race, it got rated as well, so like we can get new fans for there as well. And we just want to say that we love and appreciate everybody that comes to the chat, new and old, new fans and old, and we hope that we stay with over the course of the season to see 4 crowned champions in each division respectively. No, sorry, 5 because F2 as well.
Yeah.
But, I completely forgot about F2. I forgot that was actually a thing. But we'll ignore that as we're about to enter the squeaky bum time of the session.
Look like Plum improved, but stays in 8th.
And that's the thing as well. Like we've got like between 3rd and 8th is quite close. That's only half a second. And when the track gets faster, half a second is very easy to find. Scott Laney's in the pits though. He's not coming out to try and secure pole position. I see he's not moving on the map on the right hand side, but it's way too late for a lap. He's only got 30 seconds to go around the track, and the lap is a 1:35 average. So
yeah, there is a bit.
Very tight for time. Well, very tight for time. He's going to have no time rather. Sorry. And it's Craig coming in.
Good lap.
6 thousandths of a second faster than Scott Laney is enough to dismount the Renault from pole position, and it's put the Alpha Tauri there instead. But can he keep it there? That is the question. Checkered flag is going to drop on the session just
Gareth
about
is up by a
now.
lot.
And Gareth will jump on below Gareth, coming across the line.
What's a lap that is?
Into pole position, 35.0, just under half a second faster than Craig and Scott Laney. Who else is coming across the line? Who else is improving? Dodgy's improving by half a second as well. So it's Saber Masculine, even though he's not close to the first second Delta line. We're doing it just now, and it says it's up by, he's doing by 2 seconds, but we'll just jump on board somebody else. Who's got
Jonesy.
the line? It looks to be Jonesy.
He's up
Jonesy
as well.
Jonesy as well.
This could be close.
He's coming through. It's all about him to hook these apexes, clipping these apexes, carrying the speed through here. He looks to have done it fairly tidy so far. He's just got the penultimate turn and then the final turn into second. He's really quick the apex into the light. He's going to try and get as close to the inside there, which he doesn't as well. He's very tentative on the final 2 turns. But it does put him 5th fastest with a 35.6, so he has definitely jumped up the order by 2. DNK Rando is going to be the next person to cross the line by a lap, as well as we're going to see him coming through the final turn at the moment with DRS. I think he went close to it, so he got an email there. He was 6th fastest, stays 6th fastest. We're going to see Baggy Fan, who's invalid his lap. Craig is just starting into the pits. Dodgy still on a lap, but I think he's just going to come into the pits as well. And it's Gareth in the Red Bull taking pole position here for the Division 3 race in Hanoi.
That's a great lap from the Red Bull driver. I have to say, he's been showing it throughout this whole qualifying session. Obviously, qualifying is one thing, and the race is another, but he's put himself in the best seat in the house for the race.
Definitely, Gareth has been showing his time and again through this full qualifying session. Q1, 2 and 3, he's been taking the timing chart, and when the timing really mattered, he delivered. He's 4/10 of a second faster than Craig, who's going to start alongside on the front row, but it's about transferring that quali pace into race pace. 28 long laps of the Vietnamese Hanoi circuit to navigate, and the strategy itself is surprisingly quite diverse. It can be a one-stop, medium to hards, or maybe soft to hards if you really want to try and push it. It can be a soft, medium, soft two-stop. It can be a soft, soft, medium. Also, you can rotate that any way you feel like it if you're outside the top 10. So the strategy really well and truly is up in the air for anybody. And I don't think there's any real definitive strategy that's going to win you the race over the other. Like, it really, like you said, it does depend how the situation unfolds for the drivers, because you can either just get stuck in traffic or you can pick up some damage. Like, it's so easy just to end up getting caught in these variables that can completely throw your race on its head. So we're going to have to watch with keen eyes to see what the strategy is going to be like. But it is Gareth taking pole position here in Vietnam for Red Bull Racing, and it's going to be Craig alongside the AlphaTauri in the front row. It's a full Honda powered front row there. Renault, Scott Laney in 3rd, Dodgy 4th in the Racing Point. Jonesy and Randall sharing the 3rd row there. Jester and the Williams in 7th, DNF Plum in 8th, and we've got Darren Paul and Baggy Fan rounding out the top 10 in the Mercedes and Williams respectively. So I think what Merckx was saying earlier as well is that we're going to have to be starting a new lobby as well, so I do apologise for that inconvenience as well, and I hope that you bear with us while we get through that. But we'll use this time just to really just reflect on what we saw. What yous have got any questions for us, feel free to fire them in. Myself and Merckx will be here to answer. Use this time just to get yourself set up for the race, where it's going to have to go to the toilet or get the kettle on or get the dinner in or whatever. It really depends, it's up to yourself. But and strap yourself in for what should be an exciting race. And already we've readied up. Craig's ticked his cell in, he's up and ready for the race, but nobody else seems to be, and we are migrating host, and that is due to us actually starting a new lobby.
Race predictions then, before we could you predict a winner, or anybody in the chat as well, before we've got this short break? I say short break, a bit longer than usual, but yeah, while we've got this break, think about what could happen in the race. Will Gareth win from pole, or will it be somebody else? As we've said before, it could be anyone. But yeah, we'll see. It's Division 3, so expect the unexpected.
Definitely. We'll just want to exercise our apologies once again for the inconvenience in having to start up a new lobby. We lost, I think it was Crush we lost in the qualifying session, so we're going to try and get him back in as well. So we'll get him in. He'll be starting from the back as well. So
I think
we'll have to get him in.
Sweaty Confetti might be joining us as well, from what I'm seeing. But Yeah, I think Sweaty Confetti will be joining us from the back of the grid as well, as we've been kicked from the session.
Yes, there are not enough players to start the lobby. Yep. Look at the game. We're going to have to get it set up, so please just bear with us once again. Use this time to use as your break. I know the Draz will get a 5-minute break as well, but just use this as your break. Use this to fire in any questions, what you think is going to happen. Let us hear your predictions. I definitely don't. I definitely don't think it will be a lights to flag victory for Gareth from Pole. I feel like it will be crazy. Like, I definitely feel like it will live up to the hype that Division 3 normally lives up to. It's all about getting through turn 1 and 2. It's all sector fairly cleanly because it's a very tight area. Like, because turn 1 is basically a hairpin, and then it gets thrown into a hard right. So it's about positioning yourself to really get set up for the DRS straight after turn 4, and before the big roundabout that takes you onto the big straight. It's about getting yourself shaped up for there, and it's about avoiding contact, keeping it away, because it can get very congested on the apexes. It's I don't think there will be any. I'm going to say I don't think there'll be any action through the third sector, but we're going to just see side by side through there every lap now after saying that. But I feel third sector's very single file, and I really don't see many overtaking opportunities, really, even though like there is like 3 DRS zones. But just watch that getting blown out the water, because anything can happen. But
Yep. We have seen some interesting battles before. We'll have to wait and see on that one, of course. Apparently you're a little bit quiet, from what I'm hearing.
is that right? So you hear me now?
I can hear you fine, but someone's just saying you're a bit quiet.
No. Oh well, I mean the mic does sometimes.
You might have to eat your mic, mate.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
That actually tastes disgusting. No, I'm hoping to get it. I've got the mic a lot closer to my mouth now. I probably did push it away just to take a wee drink of water there, but I'm hoping that's it now. If you can let me know if it's still having any issues, I'll try and look into it. Just put the mic in your mouth. I literally just did, mate. It was absolutely disgusting. I've never tasted anything like it. No, I mean the mic will sometimes dip in performance, so if it does go between this interval, if it goes in the race, just let me know and I'll do my best to try and fix it. If there's anything else we can, if there's any questions, fire in your top 3, and if you're brave enough, put in the fastest lap as well. Well, who's going to get the fastest lap? Looking at that, I think if Gareth can get away off the start relatively cleanly, does reduces the wheel spin on the start, defends the inside, which you'll need to do if Craig gets a good start on the front row with him. Then if Gareth can find even an extra 10 to 2/10 of a second a lap, then he can well and truly maybe be on his way. With the pace that he's been showing in qualifying, it's just about transferring that for quality to race. Strategy as well, you're going to have to hit that square in the heat as well if you want to win this race, because it will come to the 2-stop or the 1. We don't know what it'll be, but it'll definitely be one or the other. I feel like some people will be a bit kind of brave to go on a 1-stop medium to hard. The hard tyres actually weren't really too bad once you get them up to temperature, but like the first 4 or 5 laps with them, like it just feels like you're skating.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to do with their fresh tyres.
Definitely don't feel like I definitely don't think there'll be anybody starting on the hard tyres. I think it'll either be, obviously drivers will either start in the softs, obviously the top 10 will need to start, and this is obviously qualified on in Q2 to get through to the pole position shootout, but or it'll be mediums if you're outside the top 10. But I doubt anybody's going to put hards on, because I think essentially when you put hard tyres on at the start of the race, you're effectively handicapping yourself in a sense, because you can easily just pick up damage at turn 1, or you can easily just kiss the wall and lose a bit of your front wing, or you can like just delicately kiss another wall and damage your tyre if you're that unlucky. But putting yourself on the hard tyre is exceptionally brave, purely because it can so easily go wrong, and because Hanoi is a street circuit with the walls right there ready to punish you. Not quite like Monaco, you still have some runoff areas in Vietnam, but if you mess that up, get into the hairpin or in the third sector, where we've seen quite a lot of incidents in Division 1. I don't know what it was like in Division 2, but yeah, purely because I've not watched it. And if you've not watched it, please be sure to watch the other 2 races that we've had here in Hanoi already, once this one is done. But it's just so easy just to carry a bit too much speed, clip the wall, damage your wing. If you're that unlucky, damage your tyre. Hard tyre is just getting thrown right out, and you'll need a medium, or a medium soft, medium or whatever. And you touched on it in qualifying. There isn't a safety car, purely due to the fact that there is a glitch. I don't know the glitch too well, Mix is a better understanding of that, but we don't have safety car on, so if anything goes wrong, then drivers will know have the drivers that are that lose out due to an incident or a mistake or whatever and find themselves wobbling about at the back, then they're not going to have that get out of jail free card that is the safety car that bunches the pack back up. So it'll be about putting in a shift when you're at the back. So but I'm hoping that the safety car can come back for China, because the safety a race a season without the safety car just feels a bit artificial.
Yeah, I could agree with that. So we wait for the grid to be organised. So I think we need Scott, Gareth and Scott need to actually select their cars as well, which would be helpful.
Oh yeah. But hopefully they can hook themselves up. And we can get ourselves underway. But aye, there's just, and that's the thing as well, it's going to be dry. Everybody's going to get the due to the fact that we've had to start a new lobby, everybody's getting the wee freebie of getting fresh rubber. So we might maybe see some drivers being a bit more ambitious with a one stop. Because a softy hard, if you can really stretch the softs to about lap 10, 11, 12 maybe, you can maybe get the hards on the end. If I'm being a bit too ambitious there with a really long soft stint at the start, but the fresh rubber really would account for that, because everybody's getting that freebie.
Yeah, I think you can pit as early as lap 7 or 8 and take the hards to the end. Especially if you want a juicy undercut as well, that would help.
And the undercut is indeed very juicy. And to put it in your terms, but it's a very big benefit. And track position is actually quite key here, just due to the nature of the circuit. Once again, it's very much it's a poor man's Valencia in my opinion. Like it's like I would really like Valencia. Like there's something about Valencia I really liked. It had a bit of character, like you said. Like tracks need character. They need icons. They need to have. I don't think we need to have a bit of history per se, but the track needs to just have a characteristic. It needs to have a particular trait. And Hanoi is just it's ripped off Valencia, Baku, and it's got bits of Monaco, and then the third sector's just a blatant rip off of Suzuka, Silverstone, the first sector in America, like Mexico, the second sector, like and
So all in one. It's that jumble sale.
it's just all in one, and it's just like, and it's just like an endless, it's just like an endless stream, a quick free flowing lefts and rights, and it might feel really good when you hook it up, but the track needs that. And if you're gonna just keep taking a particular characteristic for other tracks, it's just gonna be like, oh, it's just another bit of Silverstone or another bit of Mexico. Like, nobody's gonna see it for Hanoi, and this is very iconic because it's Hanoi and nowhere else. Like, I mean, the runabouts are iconic for the bad ways, for the bad reasons. Like, because there's just grip. Like, you don't get any grip running there. Like, you have to be very conservative on your throttle. You watch your steering input. It's so easy to put that foot down that wee bit too much, and the wheels just and just spin. You can't win. Like,
No sound effects.
you just. I mean, what can I say? But I'm actually the guy that makes the Formula One engine noises. But like, I just don't see how. I just don't see anything that stands out to me and says, "Oh, this is really good. This particular bit of track's really good." Like, I mean, maybe it's a bit of a premature judgment because it's the first race we're having here. It's the first race weekend that SLR's having here. But once people get more familiarised with the game mechanics, game controls, then they'll probably be like, oh, Vietnam's actually not as bad as we thought it was going to be. And then you've just got other folk that are going to be firmly rooted in their stance and be like, nah, it is absolutely terrible. And Midzi says, yeah, cheers, Riggs. Don't know what that's for, but that's for Midzi, who's a choke artist. But like, but it's there's just nothing really to Hanoi, really. It's just like Valencia and Baku and everything else, and it's just no really. It's just no really the full shilling, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, I do agree with the Valencia comparison because it's a little bit, a lot like that in terms of how the walls are just sitting there. You kind of got, it reminds me of that long straight as well. You know, you got that long straight where you're kind of just waiting for a braking zone almost. Hopefully that car doesn't go upside down and flying, but yeah, you never know.
Oh, it's for the sound effects. Oh, at least I'm getting some support for that. I thought I done a very good.
Not as good as the.
mimic-
Could be the. Could replace the Niao guy.
like,
Great.
just like that guy just became a meme. Like, he really just became like iconic for Kota. It's the fact that I remember watching the live coverage, and you could hear the engines like you normally hear them, and then you just heard that guy, and I'm just like, and I remember Croft, he just like, was like, he just didn't really notice it at first, and then somebody pointed out to him, and then but I mean, I don't get paid enough for my sound effects, so but I hear that I'm alright at them. But we've got Gareth on pole, Craig on the front row. Turn 1, 2, first sector's very tight. That is just, I think for these drivers, it's just going to be a matter of just keeping it clean. Really, I don't think any of the drivers will be a bit ambitious, and I don't think the drivers are really going to try and lunge down the inside or try and get the elbows out early on. I think the drivers will want to kind of settle in, get a pattern going, get a bit of rhythm, feel for the car on heavy fuel, fresh tyres, track's still really green, and once they get into a rhythm, then that's when you're going to start seeing some chaos and there's some wheel-to-wheel action. Division 3 doesn't really fully deliver that. Like, there's always something to talk about in the race, and if you, there's times where like there's something that happens every lap and you kind of keep up, and that is good too. But we're getting the official countdown before the formation lap. We've just got under 25 seconds there. Everybody is beginning to ready up, and we will soon be on our way as the sun does shine. No threat of rain. Strategies up in the air. It's a mix between a 1 and a 2. It just depends what the teams tell the drivers, what the drivers really think. And the countdown hits 0, and we're going to see Gareth in the Red Bull leading us away on the formation lap. I was going to say, there was a bit of a slow start there, but we'll see who's on what tyre. Looking at the telemetry mechs, we've got obviously top 10 on Sauce because they qualified on the soft tyres in Q2. We've got Jord in 11th on the softs as well as Sprightly. We've got Hypers, Apex, Stevo, Scott, Nedclaw, Jules and Sweaty Confetti joining us late, starting at the back of the grid on the mediums, and we've got Crush on the hards. So we've got all 3 tyre compounds being used on this race start. And Crush, in my mind, Mercs, immediately just says to me, I'm going for a one-stop.
Yeah, 100% one stop is his intention. Whether that'll come off, we have to wait and see what happens in the opening laps and so forth. But yeah, it's a definite intention, 100% intentional one stop that he's going for. And we'll see if he gets his dividends paid back at the end of the race. Being on the soft compound tyres, you would think he would finish the race on.
Definitely, we're going to have. Oh, sorry.
And so we got Sweaty Confetti obviously joining us as well. Didn't even do qualifying, but start last.
And the predicted pit stop strategy at the bottom of your screens, viewers, is a 2-stop, either mediums or hards. I don't know why it's saying that when more than the majority of the drivers are on softs, but hey ho. But we've got the Red Bull on the wall. We've got a Red Bull there on the wall. That's going to be Crush.
Crush.
Don't know what happened to Crush there, but Crush was just he was buried in the wall there at the end of the hairpin. So
doesn't bode well at the moment.
And but luckily enough, Crush escaped with foot damage, but he's going to be extremely late to the grid. So maybe Crush might have he might maybe have to pay a wee visit to the steward's office there, because he's mailing a 10-car length behind. He's made a mistake in the formation lap. We've seen that quite recently in real life with Max Verstappen in Hungary, and we can just clap and applaud the plaudits the Red Bull mechanics on that particular day. But it's going to be Crush rounding us up before it's the race start. Max, is Gareth going to make it to the end? Start lights the flag.
I don't think he will do lights for flag, but I think he may have a good chance of winning.
Well, we've got 28 laps of this race. The marshal at the back there is waving his flag green as the lights are going to come on up in the gantry there, and I've not got them on my screen, but we've got a good view of the start here from the bottom of turn 1, and the jump start already there for the Ferrari Jordan 11th. And we've got puffs of smoke, and we can't even see half the grid here, but we are racing here in Hanoi as we see the Renault Scott Laney getting barged into the wall there on the outside of turn 1, but it's Gareth that keeps the lead, and we've got Jonesy up there in second place already by Craig. Craig didn't really have a good start there, and he's just slipping down the order, but the timing sheets are completely muddled up. We've got Mercedes, McLaren and Renault just in a wee pack there at the outside of turn 2. That's why the yellow flags are out and waving, but we've got Gareth in the lead, and he's having to defend for Jonesy, who is pulling out to go round the outside of the chicane. Jules already retiring for the
session. There's a massive
Jonesy
crash.
Gone, and it's Jonesy gone for the lead in half the grid. There's
my word, there's an absolutely horrific crash. Oh my! It's
the Austin Powers meme again. Everybody's just trying to get back onto the straight and narrow, but everybody, we've got Ned Claus retired for the session, Jules retired for the session, we've got Paul just making his way out, we've got Sprightly facing the opposite direction here, we've got Hypers just pulling his cell out, and he's got some damage to his front wing. We've got Paul and Sprightly's been disqualified for parking up in a dangerous location after what looked to be a massive crash. I never even saw it. I'll need to watch that back once this recording's done, but we're already after that chaotic start that we so often see here in Division 3, and it's Jonesy taking the lead of the race after starting. Where did he actually start? That's the wrong info. He started 5th and he's already up into the lead. So he's went from 5th to 1st on that. Gareth's lost 2. And Dodgy is up 2 as well in the racing points. So he's up to 2nd from 4th. Craig and Gareth on the front row, both being demoted to 3rd and 4th off that start. Randall's up 1. Scott Laney's dived into the pits as we're seeing yellow flags being frantically waved all across the circuit here at the roundabout and in the 3rd sector as well. We're going to look down the grid. We've got Scott up from 16th to 10th into the points right behind his teammate Jord. Crush on the hards has went from 18th to 11th. And we've got Sweaty Confetti from the back of the grid up into 14th already, but he's in the pits and there's a lot of pit activity, Max. What's happening there? Is there a wing repair made?
So yeah,
carbon fibre?
From what I saw, I didn't see the original incident, but there was an incident at turn 1 with Paul, I think. He spun, he's carried on. Don't know I think he got involved in it with Hypers, and then there's an incident with Jules, who DNF first. And then I went onto it, and yeah, there was just a load of cars, so it was a bit of a mess, so gonna have to see that one after the race is finished. But yeah, lots of drivers coming to the pit lane, 3 retirements already. Not a good start for, not good stuff for Nedical or Jules or Sprightly or a lot of these people back here, to be honest. But yeah, there's a close battle at the front still.
Definitely, we've got the leading 5 all under a second of each other before there's a 1.8 second gap between Rando and Baggy Fan. I'm on board with Rando, who's at the end of this train for the lead as we get the predicted pit stop strategy up the home air screen once again as the Ferrari of Jord dives into the pits. So maybe he's picked up some damage somewhere along the way as well, but didn't even see what happened at the back of the grid because I was too busy focusing on this battle between Jonesy and Gareth. Jonesy just seemed to just launch off that start. Jord's probably serving a drive-through penalty for his jump start, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Jump to start, we never seen what really happened. When I was on board, I don't know about you, Max, but when I was on board to start, like before the lights, it really fixated on Gareth and the right side of the grid, on his side, as we see just in front of us here on the screen. Gareth and Craig, the 2 front row starters, and Randall's going to try and hurt around the outside as well, and Gareth's having to lock up his front left brake, and he keeps 4th, but he loses the 3rd place to Craig in front, and Craig just seems to go his merry way. Gareth, no, really hooking it up at this early stage. Didn't get a great start, and he's just losing places hand over fist as he's 25th already on lap 3. As Rando makes his way past, DRS is activated, and Gareth doesn't have it, but Rando does, so he's going to use that as well. So Gareth really no hooking it up. The formation lap must have not been a good enough formation lap for him to get the tyre temperatures up, to get everything ship. He's lit up the wheels on the carbon, he's smacked the wall there.
He's got damage.
Any damage.
He has got damage on the front left end plate. It's gone from bad to worse for Gareth off the start.
And he's going
to regroup quickly.
Oh, and Baggy Fan lucky to escape with foot damage there as well. I'm trying to jump on board with. I want to jump on board with Gareth. There. Why is it? Right, I've got a wee technical glitch, right? I don't know why it's doing that, but I'm on board with Gareth. I'm on board with Baggy Fan even though it says Gareth, and Baggy Fan's just... Right, now I'm on board with Gareth. Right, I don't even know what's happening here. I've got a small glitch. But anyway, I'm on board the Red Bull now, and he's got damage, but he's choosing to continue, Max. He's choosing to keep going, and he's understeered. Oh, he's lit it up again! And Baggy Fan's had to take a void action round the outside. Does he make the move? Stick Gareth's going to try and keep up the inside. Baggy Fan takes it right round the outside. Red Bull just looked very unsettled through turn 1 and 2. Lit it up on the curbs. The curbs spat him out, and he's lost 5th place to Baggy Fan. But talk about personal closing places, we're going to see Craig and DNK Rando side by side. Craig just managed to hold on to his 3rd place at the minute, but he's going to have Rando just right there with DRS as well. Everything's kicking off, and we're seeing some drivers being put onto the hard tyres purely because of that first lap incident. And basically the strategy's left him with no choice but to try and put on Hards to go to the end. Crush! Out of everybody. I said Hards might be a big risk at the start. He's up to 8th! And we're going to see Randall diving up the inside. Oh, and that was so close there, but DNK Randall just slows the car down. Sorry, just to cut across you there, Max. What you're saying, Randall just went for a lunge there on Craig into the hairpin.
Yeah, great start from Crush. Has been an absolute ding-dong battle between the two Ferraris. It's been side by side for the majority of the lap. George went for a move down into turn 1, missed his braking point, and then they were side by side in the hairpin, and then they were side by side down the straight, and George has eventually got his man after he's serving his drive-through.
And right, here's a question. Right, I'm on board with SLR Jord, who's right behind the craftiest Jester for 9th place, right? Jord came in to serve his drive-through penalty and basically just came out where he was. Is that what it was? Is that what happened?
I don't know, I think because there's obviously a massive gap where from Crush to Plum early on, I think he got helped out by that, as people seem to be slow, so he's managed to, I think he got a good start, and then obviously with the jump start, and then he's dropped back to where he started, so he's actually kind of...
Oh, look at yellow flags in the front, and that's for Paul. Paul's got end plate damage there on that Mercedes. I've seen Crafty's Jester in that battle between himself and Jord. He's got wing damage as well, so he's nursing a stricken Williams at the moment. But it is Jonesy that leads on lap 5 for Dodgy. Craig in 3rd. He's lost a point at the start as well. Randall is catching and gaining on the Alpha Tauri in front before there's a 6-second gap to Baggy Fan, who's kind of in no man's land at this stage. Gareth just nursing a damaged Red Bull, and I would assume to see him going into pits very soon because he's losing time to Baggy Fan. We have DNF Plum right behind him. But we've got Crush and Jord going side by side for 8th place, and Crush has got a big slide on in the exit there. And the snake curbs again, they're just very slippy, very loose. And Jord's going to have to try and go round the outside into the 3rd sector here. But Crush just keeps out the wall here as we're riding on board with, well, we're riding on board with Jord now for whatever reason, because it says Crush on the screen on both sides of the leaderboard and the telemetry at the top, but I'm on the Ferrari. Don't know how that works, but and now I'm on board with Crush as he looks up into the public tunnel, but Jord just basically pushing him along here. 2 tyre compound difference between the two. Crush on the hards, Jord on the softs. Crush going to have to go to the inside, he wants to stay defensive. Jord will have DRS into turn 1. Does he dive out the slipstream to get to turn 1? He does. Up the inside goes the Ferrari. The Red Bull looks up and the Ferrari makes the move. Crush getting a bit squirmish on the throttle there, and he's getting it again, and he's spun.
Oh,
he's spun at turn 2, Max. Oh, and he's spun. And he's
avoid
just
the Renault of Scott Laney had to avoid the stricken red cars. He did another snap, but yeah, it's kind of a bit cat and mouse at the front now. Gareth has obviously dropped quite far off. The top 4 quite close together, but not close enough.
See, I think if I'm just going to spout an opinion, I don't really know what Gareth's planning. Like, only person who knows what Gareth's planning is Gareth himself, but like, he could easily have come in on lap 1. When he got that damage, sorry, I don't know if it was lap 1 or not, but he picked up some damage, come in on the lap that you pick up the damage, and run the hards, and then maybe about lap 20 you come on for the sauce, or you come on for the mediums, and he's just losing time hand over fist. He's already done by nearly 20 seconds on the leader Jonesy, so he's lost a lot of time, and he's going to have DNF Plum, who was formerly Gorilla Plum Gorilla, sorry, DNF Plum right on rear wing here, and this is the close fault. This is the close battle, but we'll get Craig right on the rear wing of Dodgy. We can run the roundabout onto the DRS straight. Jonesy does hold a 1.5 second lead, and Craig is right there behind the racing point as we come onto this big long straight. And Dodgy's already to the inside, so he's gone very defensive already. But I don't really think that's the side he wants to be on if he wants to defend. That's the outside when you come down to this hairpin here, and Craig's going to just take it round the outside to the inside for the braking zone. Takes the main racing line. Does Dodgy try and float back up the inside? He does, but he thinks better of it and slams on the brake. Small puff of smoke getting kicked up for the front left there, but it's enough to slow the car down. Craig takes the place.
Good move from Craig then, as he sets his sights on the Alfa Romeo in front. Rando is close as well, he's in DRS range of Dodgy. So I reckon it's still a four-way battle for the lead, as Baggy is a long way back from Rando and Gareth is a long way back from Baggy, so Baggy's going to have a lonely race if nothing changes from here on in.
And that's the thing as well. I've like Baggy fans just kind of time is just dropping for the front four, but he's quite solid in fifth. He's gaining time on Gareth, albeit Gareth is nursing a damaged car, and he will be coming in for wing repairs, so that's going to lose Gareth even more time. Gareth really put on the back foot this early stage, not even got through the first set of pit stops yet. Gareth's already having to wonder how many more positions can he lose. He's about to lose 6th place to DNF Plum, who's just right there behind him, going round turn 1 and 2. You'll see on the mini-map to your right hand side. But we're going to focus on this battle between Rando and Dodgy. Dodgy's kind of losing time as well. He's maybe seen the best performance that his tyres have gave already, and the tyres is really starting to degrade now. You said the pit wall normally always between 7 and 8, you can nurse hard to the end. So while these drivers really start making some thoughts and some notes in their mind to say, right, if I pit the new, I can try. Rando's gone for the lunge, and he locks up, getting into the braking zone there, nearly made it work, but the car just didn't look like it was going to slow down and make the turn. The turn comes at you fast when you're in the braking zone, and he's just lost all that time. And Baggy fan will have a black Mercedes in his sights, and that might give him some incentive to actually put in a couple of green sector times to try and chase the Mercedes down. But that was a bit audacious there. The Mercedes, I felt that was a very high risk, low reward kind of thing there.
Dodgy's in. He's triggering the undercut, and this is where it all gets spicy, as Rando comes in as well. I was thinking that Paul, Rando's teammate, was kind of playing a dangerous game, assuming he was a lapped car, as Jonesy has spun and has lost the lead.
He's lost. Oh,
he's
is that where the yellow
spun.
flags were from sector
Yeah, I
one?
think he half spun off camera. So he saw him lighting the tyres up, and I think the Mercedes is lining up a move. He's a lapped car. I hope he doesn't take him out. But yeah, I think Jersey will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. His tyres must be gone. There's Gareth's in as well. Going to the end.
And Gareth's gone hard to the end, lap 9, to getting the wing repaired in the pits as well. We've got who came in there? We've got Dodgy and Rando who pitted from this front four battle on the mediums, so they're going to have a bit of a tough time trying to nurse them to the end. Craig's like soft tyres look like they can go for a few days yet, never mind a few laps, because he's just gaining time on Jonesy. These soft tyres must just be like in their prime. Like he's just so unfazed by the degrading grip on the soft tyres, on the red wall tyres. Is he going to pit this lap though? He might need to pit and try and prevent an undercut for Dodgy and Rando, which he does. Jonesy will be coming in close pursuit as well. Baggy, I'm assuming, will be looking to come in as well at the end of this lap, if not maybe try and go for a fast overcut. We can use this time to have a wee look at the chat and see what's happening there. Freeman says my heats went. It well and truly has after that start. I completely missed the chaos at the back, which I apologise for. Hopefully the stream caught wee glimpses at the back. Merx will have a bit of description of what happened. There. I am Ben says. Oh, sorry. If you want to enlighten
I heard some reports that some people actually missed a light, or didn't have any lights at the start, which caused some confusion. I saw some people just not move off the grid, so that kind of caused confusion. As for what actually happened with the big crash, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was all caused by an incident with Jules and one of the other cars, Jules, was first to DNF, and then I think it was kind of just a passenger from there on in as Crush comes into the pit lane. Interesting.
Crush, who we tipped to go in the one stop and stretch the hard tyres out a lot further than lap 10, already in the pits. What's he going to jump onto? What tyres?
Got a front wing change.
Wait and see before the tyre. Oh, he's going for the mediums, so I mean 18 laps in mediums probably isn't feasible really in my mind. But if there's one, I was going to say if there's one strategy that's interesting with Sweaty Confetti, but I remember he started with the mediums, so he's pitting for the softs. Up into 7th place after starting from the back. So that's a strong showing for the Alpha driver at this stage of the race.
Baggy just made a move on Scott Laney.
Oh, and Baggy making the move up into 5th, taking it off Scott Laney. In terms of the leading pack, Craig was able to prevent the undercut there for Dodgy. As we see Gareth and Steve going side by side on the straight. Gareth's going to have the inside on the braking zone. Steve was wise to just letting Gareth go up the inside there and maybe try and make a move the next time around. But Gareth and Steve both on the hards, both plan to go to the end, while everybody in front seems to be looking likely to have to make another stop at some point in the race. So we can definitely really see Steve and Gareth back up in the points.
Yeah, I think obviously Gareth hampered by the front wing change, which pushed him further back, and obviously driving with damaged front wing for that first stint wouldn't have helped him at all. Not much going on track. Gap out front is going down. 1.6, 1.7.
And the closest battle I've got on my timing sheet metrics is the battle for 12 between Scott and Jester. The Ferrari between the Ferrari and the Williams. That was a big rivalry once upon a time back in the 1990s, late 1990s.
Crush has got no wing.
12th place. Crush has 0 wing, as we see Jester making a move on Scott running outside. Scott's just going to be tucked behind the Williams as Jester takes 12 away from him. We're going to jump on board the Crush and jump back into the pits once again. I can't see the front. The car as he is in the pit lane, but Crush him to come in and get some wing repairs on that Red Bull. So Red Bull definitely running out of wings, as both drivers are going to come in for wing repairs at some point in the race. And it's Craig that does hold a 1.4 second gap over Dodgy, and Jonesy is 2.5 seconds behind Dodgy, and those are your top 3. Randall did make an audacious move on Dodgy into the hairpin, but just carried way too much speed. Didn't brake early enough, and the brakes just weren't as effective. The lunge, the dive bomb wasn't really on the cards, and he just outbraked himself. Luckily enough, no drivers picked up any damage with that, but he still keeps 4th. Baggy Fan in 5th, and behind we've got Scott Laney, Sweaty Confetti on the softs as well, and he's going to be closing in on the Renault front. But the closest battle on the track that we can see is the battle for 12 once again, as Scott is going to have to try and think about how he's going to try and take 12th place back once again, as he takes a good bit of the curve on the the final turn, slams into the wall on the exit, but he's going to have DRS, which is quite a surprise. He is well within the, well, he's going to the timing sheet. Didn't the update for me there, but I thought he was in DRS range, but he was 1.3 seconds off when it updated. But no, Sweaty Confetti.
Yeah. Should get this move done quite easily.
He is in the slipstream. DRS going to be open. Scott Laney's not going to have the DRS benefit. Scott Laney's squeezing up to the outside, and he shuts the outside. But Sweaty Confetti's going to say, if you're going to shut the outside, I'll take the inside. Scott Laney does give him space, and Scott Laney, and he's tapped him! He's tapped him, and Scott Laney's car's revving its heat off. The wheels are just like...
It's got damage as well.
So aggressive. And Scott Laney's picked up some damage on that front left end plate as well. Sweaty Confetti looked to make the move, and he did make the move, but it just looked like Scott Laney was trying to go for the switchback, and it was just a bit too aggressive, a bit too keen to try and get the switchback on the Alpha, and he just clipped the rear right, and Sweaty Confetti so nearly into the wall after that. And Sweaty Confetti's into the pits already. I'm sure he only pitted like a few laps ago.
Rando's in as well. Front wing change.
He's going
She's going to go hard to the end.
And he's going to try and go to the end of the race. This should put him out between. I would think this would put him out in about 8th place, 7th place. Sorry, because Sweaty Confetti's in the pit as well. As we see DNF Plum just coming down the pit straight. The Red Bull or Gareth coming down the pit straight as well. Randall's going to come out on the exit of turn 2. Does he keep 7th place? He does. So Randall on the hard tyres to the end. As we see Sweaty Confetti and Steve switching places there. And I think that was for Sweaty Confetti just coming out the pits. He's on hard tyres to the end as well. So he had a wee shot stint on the softs. And he's going to go on the hards to the end as well. And he's going to have to overtake Gareth. He's going to go on hards to the end as well. He's on 4-lap old hards. His hards are up to temperature. His hards are in their window. So he'll have to overtake Gareth on track if he wants to climb up the order. We're going to see a lot more pit activity this race. We're going to have to see the front 6 making a pit stop at some point. As you see the McLaren Steve will just slamming in the wall in the background there, and he's put himself under pressure for Jester as he'll sit on board the Williams. The McLaren's going to have to go left if he wants to defend, which he does. He is kind of trying to break the slipstream here with a few jerks here and there to the left and right, but he's going to have to go to the left if Jester's going to try and make a lunge down the inside. Steve does kind of plant his car central, try and prevent a lunge from happening, but he outbreaks, he's selling to the hairpin, he's on the curbs. Don't put the throttle down too hard or the curb will spit you out, but Jester just takes the place anyway. Steve will have to be really tentative on the curbs there, because the curbs are just so easy. They just don't like people using them. Like, they have a very aggressive response to your throttle input, and Steve-O's car just darting behind the walls as we ride on board the Williams in front. And Steve-O's, I'm assuming Steve-O's slammed the wall somewhere he has, and he's lost both end plates as well, so he's got some wing damage, and he'll be coming. No, he's not going back into the pits, so he's going to go around with the damage. He's going to have a severe lack of grip and a penalty for good measure there. And he's just going to be suffering there, but Hyper's there. If that what you're going, because it was Hyper's just darting at the very last minute there, and go to the inside of the Ferrari into the braking zone of turn 1, and Scott as well just going to keep a quiet race in 12th. Every time I see him battle with somebody, it's for 12th. And he's just 12th once again. Hyper's is on his way up the field. We're seeing Sweaty Confetti and Gareth switching places there. Gareth losing his place to Sweaty Confetti, but he just takes the place right back, and this is for 8. Sweaty Confetti trying to hurt on the outside, and Gareth does push him a bit wide, trying to squeeze him there, but it looked very fair for what we can see on the broadcasting camera there. But we're going to see Sweaty Confetti in the slipstream. Who's going to have DRS? It's going to be Confetti in the Alpha, and he's already to the outside, down into the hairpin here. A good bit left with the braking zone. Gar's going to have the inside. Is he going to try and go late on the brakes into the inside? No, he isn't. He's going to just tuck back behind the Alfa Romeo and plan his move for the
crushes in the wall again.
We've got a Red Bull crushing the wall, and the yellow flags are out just up here as we see crush to our left hand side, which we do. He's going to have to watch for his teammate. Don't come in front of your teammate. Don't commit the cardinal sin and take each other out. I think that's like rule number 1 in the unwritten rule of Formula 1 is you don't take your teammate out. Your teammate is meant to be your best friend on the grid. But Crush just really no having the race that he would have liked here in Vietnam, as he's just having to be wary of the drivers coming through that third sector, and he'll be coming back into the pit for another wing repair and another set of tyres. Oh, sorry, what you going to say?
Poor race with Crash's usual tyres in the session as well. Scott versus Scott is boiling up. Yeah.
That battle.
Out front is 2 seconds. Yeah, top 3. Oh my word, that's a wide line from Scott Laney. Don't be going out there, son. So the gap from Jonesy to Baggy is pit stop, so you can top 3 can do what they like, really. I think they'll all be pitting anyway. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And looking at ERS for this battle for 12th again with Scott and Scott Laney, we've seen these two tussle for position in Mexico. That's one particular battle I can remember between these two. And we're going to see one once again. Scott Laney is literally got 0% ERS, so he's going to have to do some ERS management, while Scott on the other hand's got 25. the start of that straight it was in its 60s, so he was just deploying it in one big burst on that straight to defend for Scott Laney as well. And Scott Laney just looks that bit more punchier at this stage. He is on the medium tyres compared to Scott on the hards in front. So, and we see Jonesy picking up a penalty there for multiple warnings there. We see Jord coming into the pits and Plum making his way up. It's very confetti as well. Jord's onto the soft, so he'll be making a stop again this race. I think 12 laps at the end with a bit of a push. But Scott Laney just kind of looking like he's just being a bit cautious, being a bit wary of what Scott's going to be like in front, and he's just going to try and sit and plan his move. Like, Vietnam's a track that you can't just throw the car up at the inside of one turn and hope that it sticks. Like, you really need to be quite methodical with your racecraft.
Yeah, I think this battle is about to turn into a World Championship point between because Crafty's got damage in head, and his teammate George has actually joined in after coming out of the pit lane.
And Scott Laney is finding himself in a Ferrari sandwich. It's Ferrari, Renault, Ferrari, and Scott Laney's got a bit too keen on the throttle and he's spun at the runabout, and the pressure of the two Ferraris, one in front, one in the back, must have got to him there, and he just put an extra squirt of the throttle and the car was just not going to respond to that in favour of Scott Laney. But Scott's picked up some damage for that, which is a disaster for him and the Renault. And we're going to see some team orders in play at Ferrari, and George just wanted to back his teammate in the hairpin, just drove right into the back of him. And we're going to see Scott making way.
Definitely got more grip. We will see.
I think Scott might need to let his teammate go here if he wants to try and salvage something for Ferrari. We can't keep holding up your teammate. Scott George's on 2 compound stuff a tyre on fresh softs. George's going to try and hold it around the outside. Is he going to try and go around the outside? Is he going to try and go around the outside with the penultimate turn? It's going to be brave. As Scott does give him a bit of a squeeze on the exit, he's going to keep the inside, though. He's going to have the inside for the final turn. The 2 Ferraris. And George's going to hold it round the outside and make the move. The team orders didn't come in, but George was like, I need to date myself, I need to get past, but Scott's going to have the DRS into turn 1. Is he going to try and take the place back? He is not. So he is thinking better of it. Crafty's Jester's just there as well. And what Scott can really do in the Ferrari is, well, I mean, he's 1.3 seconds now, but I was going to say he can tuck behind his teammate and let his teammate do the dirty work and just carve his way through the field. And then he just slides through when he can. But he's already lost nearly 2 seconds to win that sector alone, and George's just putting the fit down at this point. He's going to be the fastest car on the track with the sauce, and Jester's just left the inside open to him there, and just going to try and run the outside, and they're going to go side by side, but Jester can't keep it running outside. George takes the place. Yellow flags out in the last sector. We see a Mercedes darting into the pits. That will probably be Darren Paul, and it is. Darren Paul was part of the session.
Crafty coming back at it. George then. Not sure why he's fighting this, but whatever you want to do, he's going to get squeezed out there. Yep.
Up the inside goes the Williams. And Jester's really making hard work for George here on the soft tyres.
I think
can afford to keep.
I just realised, I think Paul crashed into the pit lane entry because his car was just sitting there. Whether that was on purpose or not, I don't know, but I just caught the end of that when I was on board with Sweaty Confetti and Plum through the final couple of corners.
We'll need to sit and maybe Paul will have a wee bit of explaining to do. Like, it's not very often you see somebody crashing into the pit lane, but what we'll see quite often is overtakes, as we see Sweaty Confetti going up the inside of Plum into the second roundabout, before the big straight, and Sweaty Confetti makes the move up into 6. Goes the Alpha running 3-6, running a strong race. Solid points for the constructors.
I think Jonesy's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped right off the back of Dodgy. Whether he's got damage or not, I don't know. He has got damage. So the Baggy is a long way back. Who also has damage as well. Rando doesn't have damage, so maybe Rando can put a charge in on Bagging. I think the top four probably we're going to have to pit again soon anyway, because those tyres will not make it to the end.
Definitely, I think two-stop seems to be the way that most drivers are going, whether it's by choice or whether it's by unfortunate circumstance. But it's definitely looking to be the way forward for the grid. The top four on the mediums most likely will be stopping again, you quite rightly say. It'll just be a matter of when. Will Dodgy try and maybe pit a bit? Like, it's really about when Craig pits. If I would maybe like say, if Craig doesn't pit this lap, I'll pit this lap if I'm Dodgy, just so you can try and get that undercut again, because he's just slowly losing time. Craig covered off the undercut for the first stint and came out at a 2-second gap, and the gap differential hasn't been too rapid in terms of change, as we see Scott coming into the pits in the Ferrari hyper set in the first lap, but like the gap hasn't been increasing at a large rate. So do you come in and try and shed 2 seconds again through the undercut, or do you just give it to Craig and wait until he pits? Because you're not really going to gain any time doing that.
I think if I was one of them, I'd pit this lap.
And we'll jump on the board. Wait, Dodgy's no pit this lap though. Will Jonesy pit this lap though? Jonesy's got damage, so he might have to pit, and he does. So Jonesy is going to be the first person to show his hand. But he has got some wing damage, so that's going to eat into his pit time. Baggy fans get damage as well. Rando's on hard tyres to the end. He's got a brand new fresh car, and he's been running quite quietly in 5th. And he is catching Baggy fan. Baggy fan's just right there. You'll see on our screens, just there coming out the penultimate turn. And DNK Rando's going to take Jonesy, but Jonesy's on the soft tyres, so he's thinking 8 laps on the softs can be enough. As long as
I reckon
fresh
so.
rubber. Aye, they'll have fresh rubber, so soft tyres at the end can probably be an option for these drivers. But with Jonesy coming in for 3rd means that Dodgy and Craig are going to be told, or they're going to say to themselves, they need to come in and cover this off. They need to come in and cut off Jonesy. They'll see what he's on because he's 5th. Like, because the deltas will be showing them 2 either way, unless you're Craig, it shows you who took 5. But he'll know that Jonesy's on the softs, and he'll need to react to that, as we're starting to see some more pit work in the pit lane. Gareth, who was on pole, sitting in 7th, just in no man's land, picked up some wing damage earlier in the race, decided to stretch the soft tyre stint out on the damage that he had in the first stint, went on to hards to the end, and he's just running a quiet race in 7th after starting pole.
Craig and Dodgy are in.
Yep, I think Dodgy's missed a trick by letting that extra lap really play it into Craig's favour. But he's going to really hold him up here. No, he's not. I was going to say maybe like Dodgy's pit crew, like, because his pit garage is one behind the Alpha Tauri. Like, maybe like if he drives by it, maybe he can coast Craig a few tenths of a second. But I think Dodgy's really missed a trick there and trying to really shut that gap down and maybe even challenge for the lead. I think his pit stop should have been a lap earlier, maybe even 2, considering you get fresh softs after a lobby restart. So I think Dodgy has just missed the trick there. But we're going to see DNK Rando going up the inside of Baggy fan into turn 1. DRS open up the inside. Baggy's no defending it. He knows it's not his race. And Rando up into the final podium paying position, but Jonesy's right there on a set of softs, and he's going to be rapid with a light car and fresh rubber, and this will be a battle to the line most likely.
Yeah. I imagine Jonesy will get 3rd, providing he gets past these 2 cars with relative ease.
It's all but getting too greedy, and he's getting greedy there with the inside of the runabout, and he's tapped Baggy fan as he put Baggy fan into the wall. I don't know, I can't really see if there's any damage, but we've got a beautiful shot there for the helicopter there, down the big straight. The cars go, and he's going to have DRS, and Rando's going to be right there. Rando's going to have to put up in a hard defence here if he's want to finish on the podium here in Hanoi. But Jonesy is just going to probably make quick work of him at one point or the other. I don't know if Rando's going to have it in him. I want to set a hard tyres to defend the Alpha driver and keep him at bay. I think it really is just going to be a matter of time. Jonesy, who's a bit keen on Baggy Fan there at the runabout, if he doesn't let the excitement and the ambition get to his heat, then he needs to be rational when he's overtaken. And I think the move with Baggy at the runabout was a bit keen, in my opinion. It's just a matter of thinking it through, is what I said earlier. Like, I think you have to be a bit methodical in terms of your overtaking. You can't just throw up the inside and hope that it sticks. Luckily enough, it did for him this one time. Randall just weaves on the straight there to try and break the slipstream and keep the Alpha driver at bay once again. But when it comes to this DRS straight that we're just coming up to run at the exit of this runabout on the third exit, I think Jonesy's just going to help him into this chicane.
Yeah, Baggy's in the pit lane. Fresh set of softs to the end of the race.
And Baggy will probably just be coming out in clear air once again. He'll be coming out in 9th. Right behind the Alpha. Right behind the racing point of Hypers, who's right behind Jord as well. So he could win the fresh rubber, he can get 7th, but while he can think about getting 7th, we'll focus on the battle for the final podium space as Jonesy gives Randall a wee bit of a wheel bang in there down the straight. They're going to hit excess of 200 mile an hour and they're sitting there banging wheels on the straight. That's a risky game to be playing, but Jonesy does make the move stick, outbreaks himself a wee bit into the hairpin, misses the apex. Randall put up a stellar defence, but it was to no avail, and Jonesy on the fresher rubber, the much fresher rubber, and the much lighter car, the car's just going to work in his favour so much more, and he's in the podium places.
Yeah, I don't know. Dodgy just set fastest lap, but hasn't really made that much of an indent on Craig, so it's kind of stalemate between those two. At the moment, Hyper's on the back of Jord. Not too far back.
The fastest lap will be a small comfort for the drivers if they get it this race. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to scroll. I kind of not meant to scroll, but like, I couldn't find the name. I was looking for Hypers because he's right behind Jord now, and Baggy Fan's right there behind him as well. So got a free man train for 7. And Jord's on 6 lap old softs, Hypers is on 5 lap old softs, and Baggy is just recently pitted for his set of softs, so he should have the advantage. He's have the track position though, and he's going to have to put himself to work if he's want to get extra points on his board. Freeman says in the chat, thinks something happened between Plum and Scott Laney. Well, Scott Laney's 14th and Plum is 10th, so
I think Scott Laney just came to the pit lane.
Oh, Scott Laney's just come out of the pit, so that'll be why. And Jord having to defend the inside into the roundabout for Hypers. Hypers did have a good run on him with the DRS, but he's going to have to watch Baggy Fan, who's having to watch where he puts his nose, because it's very risky putting it in at the roundabout. It's a very risky place. Like, I don't feel like the traction's there for a move, and the curbs are just no friendly to you. But we're going to see Hypers going up the inside of Jord. He'll have to slow the car down proper if he wants to keep the position. He resumes the racing line in front of Jord. Jord having to just tuck in behind and settle for 8th, and he's going to have Baggy Fan right there as well, so Baggy Fan's going to look quite keen, and it's just about patience. I don't think the third sector's where you're going to make a move, but you're going to experience a lot of the dirty air here, right behind that Ferrari, and it's just a matter of keeping it out the wall. It's a matter of just keeping it clean. Jord is just looking all over the shop through the third sector here. Is Baggy Fan going to try and carry some extra speed and go up the inside? No, he's going to just sit in behind. But Hypers locks up out of the penultimate turn, and Baggy Fan's going to try and get up the inside there. Jord ran a really wide on the exit of the penultimate turn there, and Baggy Fan was going to try and make advantage of that, but he couldn't really get the exit off the penultimate turn to try and make any real move into the final turn there.
They're all catching Gareth now. So he's got some defending to do.
Gareth, who's been on the pace all qualifying, he had a decent start to the race, albeit he did go backwards on the start. He was down to third by the end of lap 1, and then it just kind of went downhill for there. But it's just going to go downhill even more as Hyper's going to try and go around the outside of the inside of the second part of the chicane. Gareth holding it round the outside of the roundabout. Hypers will have the inside. Gareth's going to try and keep it round the outside. Don't clip the wall on the inside there. And Gareth keeps the place round the outside of the roundabout. And there's a 4-man battle here for 6th place down the straight. Gareth's going to be a sitting duck as he's not going to have DRS down this straight. Hypers will be tucking in behind. The Williamsy baggy fan just making its way past Jordan the Ferrari. And they're all going to have DRS. Gareth's going to be absolutely defenceless. Going to have to keep that car central. And he somehow keeps 6th place. But the Ferrari of Jordan's going up the inside. He bay for them. And he makes the move and he pushes Hypers wide on the exit of the hairpin there. A bit of an ambitious move there for the Ferrari, but he makes it work and it's so nearly could have went wrong. Hypers going round the outside of Gareth there, and so is Jod. Gareth just not getting the traction, he's not getting the grip, he got greedy on the curb and it unsettled his car and he just couldn't get the speed off the exit. And Gareth is down to 8th and he'll probably be down to 9th in a few corners time as the hards just look to be done. They're past their sell by date and Backy fan darting to the inside there, looking at him, making Gareth unsettling that Red Bull, and he's going to go up the inside of the final turn. They're going to go side by side. Gareth holding it round the outside, Baggy fan on the inside. Baggy fan's going to have to tuck back out of the slipstream to pull back out into the inside again. DRS is open, Gareth's just leaving the door open for him. He knows it's no his race, he's not got the pace, the hards are done. Baggy fan up into 8th, and that was a hectic few turns.
While that's been going on, I just realised Dodgy has lost it or something, because he's now 3rd.
It looks like he's pitted.
Yeah.
He's pitted again.
I don't know what's going on. He must have pitted while we were focusing on that battle.
Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Is he really? Right, I don't understand.
He has.
Unless he's picked up damage.
Yeah,
Unless he's picked up damage, I can understand it. I'm assuming it probably is damage. But that's just went completely under the radar for us. I did not even notice that he pitted until you mentioned it.
No, I just had a look.
This battle.
Yeah. I think he'll make light work for Jones anyway. Maybe he just wanted fast back, I don't know. I have no idea. Seems bizarre.
See, the fastest lap thing does. We'll jump. We'll jump on board with Dodgy, but we're going to just sit on board with Baggy Fan as he's just pushing Jod through these final turns, and he should be making a move at some point. We'll jump on board quickly with Dodgy, who's going to be right behind Jonesy in the 2nd place. But and he's going to just go up the inside. Is it going to be an easy move? And they nearly touched there. I don't know if they did. Jonesy's putting up a stellar fight here, but Dodgy's just going to have to shape his tail up, and his steering's just very jagged, and the car just keeps straightening up, and Jonesy is keeping that car as far left as he possibly can there on the exit, and he's just trying to sweep left and right, try and break that slipstream. Dodgy's well and truly tucked in. He is in here for the ride. He's going to have that extra acceleration, that slingshot effect on the exit, and he's going to have the inside and back up into 2nd, but it's Jonesy going to try and go up the inside, and he's going to do it, and they touch a slight bit there. The tyres touch and the tyres tap, and it's nothing of alarm for the drivers, no damage sustained, but Jonesy just knowing that once Dodgy gets past, that's him going to go into the distance, and Jonesy knows that he's just going to have to settle for 3rd place. But Dodgy pitting, unless it's for damage, I can understand, and Jonesy just kissing the wall there for good measure there as well. He's just touching the wall there, but we're going to jump on board with Baggy Fan, who's going to go in the inside in the braking zone, and it's going to be a really tight angle there from when the exit pushes the Ferrari Jod onto the curb on the outside there, and they're going to go side by side as they dart into turn 14 into the 3rd sector they go, and it's single file for here. If they want to be brave and go 2x2, then that's on them, because it's a very single file sector, this final sector. There's no overtaking opportunity here as Craig is on the penultimate lap, and he's led just about every lap. I think he also didn't lead the first couple of laps, but he's just been there the full time. Like, he's run a very stellar race. And while we're talking about that, get your Driver of the Day nominations in. We would very much love to hear them. Max, your opinion. Who do you think is Driver of the Day material?
So yeah, I'm looking at position changes at the moment. Sweaty Confetti from the back of the grid's gone up to P5 at the moment. But I mean, Craig and Dodgy obviously had good races. Dodgy was there, keeping Craig honest. I'd have to lean towards Sweaty Confetti or Craig for Driver of the Day.
Sweaty Confetti or Craig, I probably could jump on board that vote as well. Craig has just drove a very stellar race for the front. He was under threat for the undercut for Dodgy and Jonesy and Rando and everybody else in that four-man battle for the lead. Very early on, he was able to keep his tyres fresh while everybody else was just dropping off the cliff. His speed was just next level. He started second, didn't have the greatest start, but once he got his car up and running and familiarised himself with the settings, he has just ran with it. He has just took first place and completely ran to the hills with it. And he is on the final lap here, and we'll just jump on board William, since there isn't really anything big going on. This is the battle for 11th. Scott and Scott Laney, and Jester right there as well. So the battle for 11th, but we'll try and find Craig because we actually not gave Craig any real screen time. We'll give him it after this big straight, but Scott Laney having to back off there on the exit of the roundabout for Scott in front of the Ferrari. Scott Lane's got no ERS again, so Scott Lane's got to make do with it and just rely on the sheer straight line speed of the Renault. Is he going to go for a late lunge on the Ferrari? Scott centralises his car, but it's Jester gone for the move on both of them. Jester's tapped Scott and he's made the move, the double move on the Ferrari and the Renault. Up in the 11th goes the Williams, and he just came out of nowhere. That was straight out of nowhere.
It was late, but he made it work. There's Craig already finishing? I think it is.
Craig is exiting the penultimate turn, and the checkered flag is going to be waving for him as he crosses the line. 28 laps of Vietnam, and it's Craig that takes the win here in Vietnam in Division 3, and it's going to be Dodgy. I don't know what I was going to say, Jonesy. I was getting really muddled up between the two of them there. Looking likely to come home in second place. Jess has got an unserved time penalty, which will be added to his time, and that demotes him for 14th. A double move into the hairpin, really just gone in the bin there with that, as it gets demoted to 14th after being 11th. But it's Dodgy that comes across the line in second place, while Jonesy and the Alfa Romeo rounding out the podium. Randall did have really good pace at the start, and he picked up some damage in the midway point and the hard tyres to the end. Gets him a solid 12 points on the board for Mercedes, but Sweaty Confetti, the driver of the day nomination there, starting at the back of the grid, coming in late, didn't he participate in qualifying, ends up being 5th on the day and 10 points for Alfa Romeo to add to Jonesy's 15th. So race 1 effectively for Alfa Romeo here in Vietnam. Hypers, after starting 12th, ends up finishing 6th. Baggy Fan, solid drive to finish 7th for Williams. Jord in 8th. Gareth didn't really have the race that he would have wanted, picked up damage after starting in pole, and he ends up being 9th. And it's going to be DNF Plum, formerly Plum Gorilla, rounding out the top 10, and the points paying positions as the checkered flag falls, as he's the final driver to cross the line, and that is that.
Yep, I think Craig eventually in the chat got driver of the day. So yeah, I can't really disagree with that either. He basically dominated. Didn't even have it. Once he got into the lead, there was no looking back.
Definitely, I think that winners' trophy that we're seeing him hold high is well and truly deserved. And he just kept his nose clean, had the pace, and at the end of the day, he dominated. It's as simple as that, and he's just drove a stellar performance while everybody else around about him just kind of ran into trouble. But he brings home the 25 points for AlphaTauri and for himself as he wins the race here in Vietnam. Dodgy in second place does take the fastest lap, so he's got the soft comfort, an extra point for fastest lap. Jonesy rounding out the podium. Rando, Sweaty Confetti, after starting at the back, ends up finishing 5th. Hypers, Baggy Fan 6th and 7th. Jordan 8th. Gareth, after starting in pole, finishing 9th. Plum in 10th and rounding out the points paying positions. Scott starting 16th, just finishing outside the points and a lap down. Scott Laney and Apex 12th and 13th. Crafty's just with a nice beautiful double move at the end there. All for nothing really there when the penalties applied. Stevo in 15th there in the McLaren, and the DNS for this race were Darrell Paul, SLR Crush, Sprightly, Ned Claw and Jules. So we're going to try and get the top 3 in. I think I've got Craig already here. But we'll wait until we get G and Jonesy in.
I think we're waiting for Jonesy to get in. As far as I know, I'll invite him again once we get back into the lobby. I don't know if he's around. I'll have a search for him anyway. Quickly. Seems like he may have gone. Yeah, he's gone offline, which is a shame. So we won't hear from the third place driver this evening. So we've only got 2. Do you want me to take it away?
Please. Oh.
So we start off with our second place driver, Dodgy. A bit of deja vu from last weekend. Completely different race though. I'm sure you could be happy with second place once again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I had a bit of an accident on one of the straights when I was trying to change my fuel or ERS, and I ended up getting an orange wing, which I wasn't happy about. So I had to do a third pit stop, which then put Jonesy back in front of me. But I did manage to get back past him with the last couple of laps to go, so that was good.
Yeah, we didn't realise that you had even pitted because we were focusing on a different battle, but
yeah, I ended up doing the 3-stop, unfortunately.
at least I think you didn't lose anything in the end. But yeah, I think this is turned into. Obviously, it's quite early to say, but consistency is obviously going to be key in this championship. And you've shown early signs of that so far. And good points to Racing Point once again. You delivered for the team.
Yep, happy with that. I'll take a podium every time if I can. I mean, obviously the first win still is not there yet, but kind of felt Craig. He was too fast today. Couldn't catch him.
Yeah, well done on the second place.
Cheers.
On to our race winner and driver of the day, as voted by the fans in the stream chat, Craig. Let's say well done on the win. And how was that for you tonight?
Consistency, really. Third. Low air. Staying close to me.
Yeah, you got the. It seemed pretty comfortable. In the end, Dodgy keeping you honest, of course, for the large majority of that race. Yeah, I think once you got into the lead, you seemed to be fairly comfortable. So congratulations on that. Good performance this evening. Hopefully, you can build on it in future races. And on to you then, Riggs.
You just tick the box. Just tick the box because we've got a message saying that you can use these.
Mine's ticked.
I think they're talking about Craig. He may not have ticked your box. The stream.
And the party.
Or the stream. And the party. If you go on the party, there'll be a box there.
Sorry.
If you have ticked it now, just quickly, just for the people who watched, they can hear what you think about.
Yeah, basically, just consistency for the key for me today. Fair play to Dodgy. He was keeping me honest, like you say. It was mainly about consistency and just keeping my front wing on.
I think that is one of the keys around Vietnam.
Yeah.
There you go, Riggs.
Yes.
Do you want to give our final thoughts on this evening?
There the race itself was actually for all the entertainment. I mean, it's division 3, anything can really happen in this division, and it so often does. I just really want to extend my congratulations to Craig, Dodgy, and Jonesy for the podium. Craig again for Driver of the Day voted by the stream. Sweaty Confetti was voted Driver of the Day by the game. But I think we go in terms of the stream votes, so Craig will have Driver of the Day for Vietnam. I mean, it's an absolute stellar drive, just total control at the front. Was able to keep the tyres alive in the first stint, and I think that was crucial for his win. No, just want to kind of say it was an absolutely thrilling race. Thoroughly enjoyed commentating it alongside yourself in the booth again, Merx.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you for Division 3 next week in China. And we hope that you will tune in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock British Standard Time for the final race round Hanoi for the Elite Division, where my co-commentator will be in the car for a change, rather than the booth. With that, I will extend my congratulations once again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next stream. And we will see you in China in a week's time.